Alright. Stream seems clear. Hey, this is SSJPACMAN here. I wanted to talk to you guys about PUBG and how to get over 60 frames per second on a i5 or a 4-threaded CPU, maybe even a 6-threaded CPU. This might benefit you, but anybody who's on an i7, it shouldn't be as pertinent. You might want to do this if you have a high frame rate monitor, but this is what I've found to work really well. So let me just alt tab here, and we'll get down to, well, let's just stay here. So currently I'm set to 4K resolution. I know what you're thinking, 4K, shouldn't that run worse on your computer? Not really, because more of the GPU is being used and less of the CPU. It's not trying to push as many frames off the CPU. The GPU is waiting for the CPU constantly if you're on 1080. So I've turned it up to 4K. I'm using dynamic super resolution to achieve that. I've got my anti-aliasing on ultra, my post-processing on ultra, shadows on low because I want to be able to see people, textures on medium. The textures seem to hit the CPU more than anything else. If I run on ultra, I'll drop down to 30, but I run between 60 and 80 without VSync on. So effects very low. Effects seem to mess with the CPU quite a bit, and I just don't have the processing power with an i5 2500K. I've got it running at 4.5, so this should be pretty similar to like a 6500K, so, you know, Skylake. View distance very low because it makes it where you can't see trees or brush far out, but you'll still be able to see people. You can see people no matter what. And then I run VSync on just because the game isn't as hitchy if you're on VSync. I know it adds a little delay, but I just think the game runs so much better with VSync on that I think it's worth it. You know, that's up to you. It is what it is. But so I'll show you real fast what I'm at right now in gameplay. You can see that it's at 60 right now. When we get into lobby and the plane, it's going to be less. But once we get on the ground, I should pretty much be at 60 with only the occasional hiccup below that. And I know that everybody I know that has an i5 has had these issues where it's really, really hitchy. Like I said, I'm not overclocked that much. But even with streaming, I'm still at almost 30 frames constant here. And there's no hiccup. I mean, it's smooth as I mean, it couldn't be asked for 30 frames. And I mean, this game is very CPU demanding. As long as you have an i7, you should definitely be good for playing PUBG. i7 with a 1060, i7 with a 970, even an i7 with like a 960, 780. I think I have a buddy that's playing on a 280, which is a AMD graphics card. So a graphics card isn't that important. This is more like how League of Legends is CPU dependent. This is a CPU dependent game. So still at 30. Like I said, I have VSync on. Let's see where we're gonna drop. Sideways. I'm going to go to Milta just so I can show you guys in like a heavy zone. Should be relatively CPU demanding in Milta. Locked at 60 while falling. Little hiccup right there when it loaded in some stuff. Down to 46. Like I said, after you get on the ground, it's not nearly as hitchy. And you'll see when I turn this back down to 1080 and turn everything to low, how much more hitchy this game is. There's a guy here. Alright. Might be a little worse while I'm streaming. I didn't really take that into account, but we'll see. Give it a second. I need guns, not first aid kits. From what I've seen though, the game has been much more playable since I've turned it up to 4K. Here in a second, let's just pull this up for you. So you can see here, periodically I have little dips off 100%. Previously I was hard set to 100%. And then you can see the load here. Now your load and your utilization are two different numbers. I'm not actually loaded as high as I'm utilizing. And then you can see on my GPU here, running about 73% on my load. And it won't get much higher than that. So let's go back to the game real fast. Try not to die. Wish I'd found some sort of real gun. But you can see we're hovering right around 60 inside of this house. Really, there's no real guns in here. That sucks. I'm gonna dash across here. But it's actually better out in the open than it is in... Oh shit. All those houses have been looted. 60, 60, 60. So it's looking real good as far as that goes. God damn it. This house has been looted too. There was a frame lag, but I was having this far more frequently. Probably gonna die here. There it is. Alright, so now I'll change my game settings. Settings. Alright. So I can't change my resolution from here. I have to open GeForce Experience. And we'll just click on Optimize. And then see if I can refresh the UI if that makes it where it'll take the settings. Nope. Okay. So I'll close the game. And we'll reopen the game. Just a second once I click on the fucking right thing. Where's GPU Z at? GPU Z is gone. Alright, I guess we'll just open it back up. There we go. So, you can see where we're at right now. Go to settings. I changed my resolution though. I don't understand. Why not? Real quickly here. GeForce Experience. Player unknown battlegrounds, details. Settings. Huh. There we go. Alright. 1920 by 1080. Apply. What was that? Alright. And then we can turn down to very low, because this is what everybody uses. Everything on very low. Apply. And then we'll click play. And so you can see the numbers are quite a bit higher in here, especially with VSync off, but you'll see how much more hitchy it is. Hitchy, stuttery. And you would think, you know, on the lowest settings it shouldn't have those stutters. 35 to 92 to 38 to 41. So then if I go back to VSync to help smooth out some of the stutters, it helps to smooth it out, but it doesn't alleviate them when you're below 60 FPS. It's only when you're at 59, 60 FPS that it's smooth. But we'll leave VSync off for the time being. I'll show you it in game again, because I know most people don't want the extra latency, so I'll just show you without VSync on. Without VSync on, your processor is going to push more frames, as many frames as the GPU can. Well, your GPU is going to ask for as many frames as it can from the CPU. And if the CPU can't feed those frames to the GPU, then you're going to get stuttering, which is basically what I have gone on here. Now, it doesn't seem to happen quite as bad when it's the GPU limiting the game than the CPU. As long as it's over 60, you don't really notice. Alright, so I'm just gonna jump. And you can see I've got over 60 frames on this free fall. And I had maxed out 60 frames for the free fall earlier as well. But once we come into frame, you'll see it'll dip back down again. I barely have over 60, back down over there, frame drop, all the way down to 17. I even dropped to 17 when I had it at 4K. So it doesn't have anything to do with that. Look at us, we're at 40 frames, 50 frames. This is on the absolute lowest settings. I got friends close. So we're over 60, 53. You'll see the hitching. And when it hitches from 80 to 60, you can feel it. Any time where there's a delay in how fast the frames are being delivered, you're going to notice. What you want is a consistent frame rate. That's the goal. And I don't particularly like to play the game at the lowest settings. Everything kind of looks like crap. I do prefer to play at higher setting. So let's run over here to these guys. This isn't bad right now, you know. 80 frames, 75 frames. The game looks terrible, but it's okay. If I like kind of whip it around, it's not too bad. Sneak up on this guy. He doesn't have a clue that we're here. Oh, you're kidding me. I thought it was on fully automatic. So, if we go back to our monitors, and we look at everything, we can see that our GPU hovered between 60 and 70, which is pretty similar. Our CPU was deadlocked at 100. There was no off and on. And remember, I'm streaming right now. The game is going to play a little worse when I'm streaming, at least in the higher resolutions, because I'm using my video card to capture that. But, we were at 100% utilization and damn near 100% load. But we weren't playing with any of the high-end settings on. So let's go back into the game. And this time, before I die, I'll switch settings. Well, I guess I won't be able to switch settings, but I'll switch every setting except for maybe the dynamic super resolution. I don't know if that'll work or not without resetting the game. But these are the settings that I found that work to get the highest quality with the most consistent frame rate. Like I said, I don't mind a little bit of minor delay in this game. It's not super important. But tell me what you guys think in the comments below. You know, I'd love to hear. I'm really curious what everybody's using for settings, and if anybody's found any ways to get around some of the CPU hogging that this game does, drop it more onto the GPU. I'm gonna jump early this time. Let's, while we're waiting up to jump, let's look at the charts right now. So you can see when I alt-tab, there's a little drop in the CPU, but other than that, we're at full-on maxed out. My GPU is only running at about 50% right now while I'm in alt-tabbed. But I'll tell you on my second screen when it's at in just a second. 73% GPU load, 100%, or 73% CPU load, 100% CPU utilization. So let's get back into the game. Jump out of the plane. GPU is at 90%, 8%, 38%, 81%, 72%, 73, 69, 63. So averaging about, I would say between 50 and 60%. With 100% utilization on the CPU still. Back down to 59. Hitch. I don't know what it went to, but it definitely hitched there. Get fucked, son. Nothing on him but his briefs that he came here with. So the game's not very hitchy here. Let me show you what I normally run the game on though. I like to run textures on medium and shadows on low. Hit apply. And this makes it where the shadows aren't quite as blocky, but I get way more hitches. Hitched, hitched, hitched. And I know what you're thinking. Alright, well, take your settings from textures medium, put those on low. That way it's just shadows that you have turned up. And that's not too bad. Still hitched right there, big hitch. It's not too bad out here, but it's just not clean. There's lots of tearing. And I understand that there would be tearing no matter what. Like, or at least there seems to be tearing no matter what this game. But when I run VSync, it's not as bad. So if I hit settings and I turn everything to where I normally have it, and I'm selling on ultra, post-processing on ultra, textures on medium, everything else is where I want it, hit apply. Hitching, tearing, hitching, tearing, hitching, tearing, hitch, tear. I mean, it's really bad. It's very hard to see people. So then I'll go back and turn VSync on. That should clear up some of the tearing, but it's not going to fix the hitching. Because anytime it drops below 60, this is taking some load off my CPU. I'll show that to you. So you can see that little dip right here. That's when I turned it on. And this one right here is it running, and then these are after I've alt-tabbed. So I'll tell you where it's at in just a second. I just closed it apparently. I'll control delete, task manager, performance. There we go. So now I'll tell you when it's below 100%. Holding steady at 100. Little dip. Another dip. 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 Down to 90% there for a split second. 90%. Alright, I'm gonna go get myself into some trouble so we can Switch resolutions here. Well, let me try to switch resolutions in game settings. And all the way up to 4K, apply. Alright, so this is with the game running at 4K. My GPU load, you can see, has immediately jumped up 95%. My CPU load, you can see, has dropped down into the 80s. And if I go back into the game, the game is broken because you have to use dynamic super resolution. Alright, so we're going to have to close this. Alright, so we set it back to 4K. Let's show you what everything was at. Lost my game or my task manager. There it is. So you can see here my GPU was way maxed out when it was freaking out. But so let's do that again. PUBG. That's opening up. Excuse me. Let's continue the match. It's still in progress. But now we're dynamic super resolution. CPU isn't maxed out. Oh, I lost my GPU-Z as well, apparently. Convenient that nobody came and killed me. Alright, so now we're back in game, task manager, and Corsair link. So you can see the load here is 77, but you can see my my CPU is bouncing up and down between 100 and 90%, and my GPU is closer to 80 to 90%. So let's run around. 50, 6, 46. Do I have settings? VSync is on, okay. And we're at 60 locked. Pretty much. Little hitch there. But it's not dropping down as much anymore. They're not quite as huge of snags as they used to be. I've been here before. 60, 60, 57, 54, 43. But it's not such a big deal when I'm outside. I'm not swinging the camera quite as much. That's a little bit. Let's go settings. Ultra. Oh, it's got stupid stuff on high. There we go. Low, low. Ultra, ultra. Shadows, low, good. Textures, medium. Apply. That's what's wrong. But you can see the game isn't hitching nearly as much. It's staying much cleaner, staying a lot closer to 60 constant. But you guys decide what you think is best. I mean, this is just what I like. And it seems to be running pretty good at 4K. And I mean, as you can see, the wheat looks quite a bit better. Let's see if I can sneak up and hack this guy in the face. He's found himself somebody else to be interested in. What's wrong with this car? Sweet. Oh, the circle's not even that far. But I think we can get our frames even better. Let's turn these down to low, click apply, click OK. 50. Might just be the wheat field that does kicks the frames a little bit. I gotta get a better gun though. It's gonna have to happen. A little bit of frame lag right there. But the main concern is that we're back at 60 inside. Literally not a gun in here. Like I said, if I wasn't streaming, I would definitely be at 60 right now. Like, I was playing last night and it was clean. So I wanted to show everybody. This is what I found. The game definitely looks better. Runs quite a bit smoother this way. And if you're not streaming, it runs pretty good. But it's not too bad this way. There's a little bit of hiccups while I'm paying attention to it. Need a gun. Well, thanks for watching. Have a great day.